Welcome to the Her Podcast with Kristin Sampson, offering a message of hope, encouragement, and reflection with special guests.
Welcome back to another episode where we're having ministry conversations. And today we are interviewing and getting to know the Johnsons, Brianne and Austin. And they are here from Florence, Alabama. And y'all currently work with Florence Boulevard, Church of Christ. And so thanks, guys, for coming on and letting us get to know you and behind the scenes and some good stuff about you guys.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
All right, so let's just dive in. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. So tell me how many kids you got.
Well, we've got 3 kids. Jarrett's our oldest. He is named after my maiden name, and he's 9. Then Brooks is 7, and Saley is the little princess at the end. She's 3. Austin, he really was hoping for that little girl,
Yes.
and he got it.
She gave us everything we wanted and all the things we never thought we would have and whatever is in between that.
Yeah.
Nice way to end it all with a perfect little bow at the
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes,
She's spoiled by her brothers for sure.
it's true.
Well, that's good. That's fun. That's fun. The brothers definitely be very protective when when she gets older.
Yes.
The boys better watch out. That is for
Mhm.
sure.
Right.
That's good to have.
That's the truth right there.
That's okay. Let's just dive in. Okay, so what's one thing you wish more people would know about ministry and being married?
I think one thing is that it's fun. We have fun doing it together. But ministry is like a lifestyle. It really is what our life is consumed of.
hmm
And so I think that when you're both on board in marriage, like we are both like 100% in, and we have been bought in from the very beginning. I was very excited to be marrying a preacher, even though I'm a preacher's daughter. And
Yeah,
so
that's
so
interesting.
People are like shocked. Like,
Yeah.
you still wanted to marry a
Yeah.
preacher. I did.
Yeah.
I did. I 100% did. I'm so thankful for it. And so I feel like it has made our relationship stronger because
Absolutely.
all of our focus, our mission, our time is spent devoted to the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm a preacher's son too.
Okay.
And I had like a bit of a rebellion against the idea of doing that for a minute,
Naturally, yeah.
but then it just like popped right back, and it's the only thing I could ever do. Not the only thing I could do, but it's like I don't know if I would be satisfied if I was doing anything else. And she's totally on board with that. And that's another reason why I think I fell in love with her is she knew what that was going to be like, and she's there 100% with me. It's like even moments when I don't want to, she's all in and pushing me beyond what I feel like I'd even be capable of.
And that makes a big difference to have you, like you're saying, both on board, both, that is y'all's goal, your plan together. And when you're on the same plan and working to the same goal, it definitely makes a big difference in your marriage and in ministry. That's pretty neat because most guys, especially like PKers, they tend to want to go the other direction and not go into that. So that's pretty neat. So how far into school did you know? Like, how old were you when you felt like this is for sure what you wanted to do?
I came back after freshman year at Freed. Well, first off, my parents pushed me to Freed. Didn't really want to. Within 2 weeks, favorite place I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Came home, had a summer internship where I was mulching playgrounds for the city. Like, no, this ain't it. Got back sophomore year, and the culture there was like a spiritual revival of my life.
Okay.
And then she loved that in me. And that was like what sparked it between us, I think. That and I grew out my hair and I had an afro.
What?
I love the afro.
Man, this is where I think maybe we need to show some pictures of this.
Yeah, dude. Man.
That's kind of hard to believe. Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, have an afro.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so or that's something.
I don't know. It is something.
We'll just go with cool for now.
Thank you.
So how do you guard your marriage against all these pressures in ministry?
I feel like our marriage is a safe haven for both of us. And we don't guard our marriage, we utilize our marriage to help us with the pressures. And he knows he can like talk about anything with me. I know I can talk about anything with him. And so that just makes our marriage a stronghold, and we don't have to hold anything back from each other. So I always feel like he is my safe place, and he helps, walk me off the ledge when I'm at a low spot, and I do the same for him. So we just have a really great relationship in that way.
Yeah, I think the church, especially from a ministry standpoint,
Mhm.
people could fall into a bad place of pitting one against the other. But I think, God really made them to work in tandem. And so I don't know if we ever guard it. It's just being the stronghold of our life. It actually enhances our ministry. It's like a jumping point into ministry.
That's great. That's great. So like when things get tough and one of you feel like, you just can't do this anymore, because we all get to those moments. I mean, it's not in ministry is not perfect, and you do have those really hard times. The devil's really good at what he does. And so he gets in your mind, he gets in life in general and makes things so hard. How do y'all encourage each other when one of you is to that breaking point?
Well, like when we got married, there was never any question, like we're going to be together until death separates us. And it's that way with God and his church, whether we are in ministry or not. We are bought in to being sold out for God. And so when we do face those bumps in the road, we realize that this is just part of our service and our ministry, and that people aren't perfect, because we know that we're not perfect too. So there have been a few times, I think, where you have been very low in your ministry, as far as like, is this what I'm meant to do? Maybe there's something else out there that I would be better at. But I personally don't think there's anything else in the world that he is meant to do. I mean, he is, his heart, his passion, his love for God, his love for people. Like, I see that this is what he is made to do. And so in some of those times, I think I've been able to help walk him through that. I remember one specific, like very serious talk. We were walking on a trail through the woods, and he was just kind of pouring out where he was at this bad spot. And so I tried to like hear him out and offer comfort by like affirming him, affirming what his gifts are, affirming how great his heart is in loving people. And I just think it's this. So, sorry.
No, you're good. This is
Probably too much.
No, this is wonderful. He is good. You are very good. You definitely could tell you have the love of God in you, and you're very passionate with what you both do. And I think and that's one of the big reasons why I asked y'all to be on here, is because we can tell, Caleb and I can tell that your love for God, both of you, and like your love for each other. I mean, it just shines bright with y'all. And you've got to have that mentality to support each other through those hard times and see the good in each other. Because if you don't, then that's when the devil creeps in and makes you delusional. And both of you just do a fantastic job. It's fantastic. So how do y'all communicate through, because you're both so busy? You've got 3 kids, your full-time ministry. So what's y'all's way of communicating with each other?
Well, we communicate through a shared Google Calendar. If you do not have one, you must get one.
Yes, joint calendars.
Yes, because I see, something comes up, he's got a meeting, he's got a counseling, he's got a whatever, and it goes in there, and whatever I do goes in.
And you're good at that? And you're good at putting that in?
I mean,
let's be real, because I've tried so hard.
That's why
for me.
It's a joint calendar.
That's right.
Because if I'm not, she is perfect at it. We get reminders. She sends me texts. Hey, you got this coming up. You've got that coming. Why'd you just put that in?
Perfect.
I thought we had talked about this on that particular day.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's right. Forgot
Yeah.
about it. My bad.
Absolutely.
That goes a long way for us, truly.
We say if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening.
That's right.
But also, like, we've been very blessed throughout the years to be able to share lots of lunches together. Like, he comes home for lunch most every
Mhm.
day, and I am home for lunch most every day. And so it's like we eat lunch together, we talk about the morning. He gets home
Yeah.
from work, we talk about what happened in his afternoon. The kids get in bed, we talk about what happened between afternoon and bedtime.
Bedtime.
So we just really have a very strong line of communication. I feel
And that's the life we've chosen.
Mhm.
I remember we lived in Benton, Kentucky, and I was driving I had a 17-minute drive. Was it about that?
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this. Way too far. Can never live.
17 minutes.
Can
is
never
way too
live this far away from the church building. And I know that sounds extreme, but I wanted to be right there by the building, to be accessible,
Yeah.
to be easily approachable.
Yeah.
But then also, I knew I wanted to go home because there would only be so much time. My kids are going to be in the house for lunch. My wife may not always be at home. Hopefully she will. But we've chosen that because of how it keeps us connected.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a communication thing for us. So I wanted ease of access to enhance our communication.
Communication is key. I mean, if
Man,
you
it
don't have
is.
communication in a marriage, lots of things can fall through the cracks for sure. And so prayer, what role does prayer play
Yeah,
in
talking
y'all's
about a
ministry?
key.
Yeah. Austin is my favorite prayer. I feel like he just can put into words what my heart is feeling, but I don't know how to say.
Yeah.
And I think he does a great job displaying that for our children too. And I am not saying that like the typical like memorized prayers are bad to do with your children, but we've always just prayed like with our children as if we pray too, like teaching them like we're praying for other people, we are praising God with our words. And so we've tried to instill in them like prayer is a conversation with God. It's not just like
Absolutely.
these rehearsed words. And this one little story came to mind.
Yeah.
We had this man at church who's been really sick, and we've all been praying for him a lot, but Saley went up to him at church. She's my 3-year-old, and said, I've been praying for you. Like just out of the blue. Like she
Aw.
just walked up and she said that to him. And that just really that touched me. I was like,
Yeah.
that's so great that she's like connecting those dots too
Yeah.
from our prayer life at home to our church family outside of the home.
And I bet that touched that person
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is there,
We've not done everything perfect, but, and there's always room for improvement, especially your prayer life. And, even in our married prayer life, you know how it is. You hit the couch, you hit the bed, and you're just like, I don't want to say another word. I don't want to talk at all. I don't know. The longer you're married, the less you have that just push to move beyond, what you feel like you're strong enough to do at the moment.
Get
But that's probably the
comfortable.
moment
Yeah.
you need to do it.
Yep.
But with our family prayer life, we've been that's been a regular part, I would say. We've been pretty strict about every day finish in scripture or prayer. And I thought what she said was really good there. There are times to pray baby prayers
Yeah.
with little kids.
Yeah.
But if you show your kids from a young age an adult prayer life, maybe that's something they can reach for and
Yeah.
shoot for at an earlier age.
I totally agree. And Kelp and I are the same way. Like the scripted prayers are great. They're
Oh,
great to
yeah.
start off. Those are great. But to teach them that you're talking to God, that this is your conversation. This is you opening your heart and your mind to Him in that special conversation, and teaching them from day one, how to talk to God, and that it's not just a prayer; it's prayer.
It's talk.
Yeah, it's a talk.
Especially in a ministry family.
Yeah.
Our kids are going to know people maybe
Mm-hmm.
in a better way because we're a bit more immersed
Yeah.
than others.
They know
who
no
need to be.
stranger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so our kids are going to know that,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to, like Brianne said, connect the dots of of church work. And that's another thing. It brings the church into the home and the home into the
Yes.
church. It
Yes.
connects the two. And that might be something
Makes it a
prayer
family.
does. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. And I think it's so important that y'all do that too. And it just makes a difference when you bring your ministry home and you're teaching, because you're being transparent. You're not being fake. You're being true, and you're teaching your children how to be true, and you're being realistic with them. Like you're saying, you're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. But when we are doing the right things and we have a good schedule with reading our Bible and saying our prayers, like teaching them how important that is, you make a huge impact in their lives. And even like you're saying, even in those like hard times, those hard moments that you just don't want to do it. You're tired. It's a busy day. You're just, we've already done this, but to push through that and to be able to accomplish that, you make such a bigger difference in your kids' lives and in your own lives and in your marriage. And it's pretty powerful. And not everybody has it. And like, you grew up in that and now you're doing that. But like where I didn't grow up doing that, and I see Caleb and I doing that, I can feel the difference that it makes with kids. And like our kids now are older, and it makes a big impact because it gives them that knowledge and that pattern to look after and to follow.
And you're talking about practical.
Yeah.
Something we've tried to put into practice. I don't know if you want to call this a spiritual discipline or not,
Mm-hmm.
but pausing in prayer,
Yes.
to be still in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Every parent wants their kids to be able to be quiet and to be still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially at bedtime.
Yeah.
Stop running around. Quit shooting the basketball. No more races in the hallway. And so it's like it hits on multiple sides of we're going to pause in prayer, literally.
Yeah.
And it even brings, the racing beat of the heart down, and it creates stillness. And there's something very spiritual in that quiet, still space. So it's not just the practice of prayer, but it's the practice of stillness and the practice of silence, and infusing that into our children. Our hope is one day, they will be still.
Yeah.
And know.
That's very powerful because that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I mean, for all ages, and that quiet time, it either can make you or break you,
Yeah.
It's not easy for sure, but that's definitely a good practice to have and a good thing to teach your children. And if you don't have children, to start doing that now as well. Absolutely. Okay, now into the fun stuff. What is a memorable date night or vacation that helped you reconnect as a couple?
Well, for our 10-year anniversary, Austin talked about for years that we were going to go to Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii for 10 years, going to Hawaii for 10 years. And then, we got to 9 years, and I would love to go to Hawaii. However, I'm terrified of flying. I
Can't drive there.
so much.
Oh,
Drive to
bless.
Hawaii.
No.
And
Oh.
the anxiety was just like, I was looking how long the flight was. I was like, I just don't know if I can make
Oh,
it.
no.
It's Hawaii.
I know.
So we tried to find the closest location that we could travel to with our credit card points and had the shortest flight. So Cancun was only 3 hours.
Okay.
I said, okay, I can do 3 hours. I can't do whatever it was to Hawaii, but I can do 3 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
So anyway, we went to Cancun for our 10-year anniversary. And I guess I would just encourage married people, like once you have children, a lot of it's harder to leave. There's more responsibilities, there's that relationship there, and you feel very like connected, and so sometimes people have a hard time like getting away from their children, and you do miss them for sure, but it's such a needed thing to make sure that your relationship as a married couple is what it needs to be, and that like your children aren't taking that spot in your life as your number one. And so that trip for us was definitely a good trip to reconnect, to have some time. I felt like we we spent a lot of time like reflecting on ourselves as parents. I remember some like very deep
Oh man,
conversations,
yes,
like
yes.
how can we be better? What
Yeah.
can we do differently? Things like that. So that will always stand out in my mind as a connecting trip. But we just love hiking, walking. Anytime we can just be literally walking around outside. That's like our favorite thing to do.
That's great.
We just walk and talk.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
separate from the space that could cause you stress.
Yeah.
And for parents, it's probably the house because there's always something to do.
Yeah.
There's always a project to get done,
Yes.
laundry that needs to be folded, whatever.
Yeah.
So connecting in a space where, creation is. You talk about stillness and prayer, creation and connection to God is huge for us. And allowing her to get out of that space, which is the home, it helps her mind to be free and process.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be extravagant.
Yeah.
First off, shout out Tony Schote, because he's the one that taught us and educated us on credit card traveling, which is what made Cancun possible. I think we went there for like $300.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll have to have a side
I know, that's-
conversation afterwards.
Yes. Marriott Bonvoy, Hyatt, Ziva. So many credit cards, but like it happened in a very cheap way because of that. So huge shout out to another ministry family
Absolutely.
that helped educate us in that area.
Yeah.
And another trip we went on, oddly enough, Iuka, Mississippi, Iuka, Mississippi is where it was, right? Why would you go to Iuka?
Yeah. It's like, what's there?
An Airbnb,
Nice.
and it was just in the woods.
Yeah.
And it was just us. We walked. We went to like local places, mom and pop
Yeah.
restaurants, which were so good. And there was nobody there, which we
Nice.
love. You don't have to wait. It's good food. We can go back to the Airbnb and be alone or go walk. And that's huge for connecting in creation in a space that's away from, where your stressors come from.
Yeah.
We're not
Goes a
big
long
city
way.
people,
No, we're not.
but we're just like go out into the woods people.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a difference too. And for y'all to both like that and enjoy that, that's just something y'all can both do together and reconnect. And that sounds so nice. Yeah, we're
Mhm.
definitely going to have a side conversation later.
Low-key, low cost.
Absolutely. Yeah. If I can bring myself down to that, I'm getting there. Like I'm high maintenance.
Oh, gotcha.
I like the beach a little too much,
Yeah.
and I like yeah. Okay, so do you have any funny or embarrassing ministry fails that you can laugh about now?
Yeah.
Oh, just
Surely
some,
not.
like little silly ones. So when we first got married, neither one of us drank coffee. We had never had
Oh, yeah.
coffee like in our lives.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to like host and entertain real adults.
Yeah.
You've got to have coffee.
Gotta have coffee.
Our shepherds and their wives,
Yeah. and
Okay.
preacher and his wife,
They're coming over for a Christmas party. It was
They were
our
like
first
20
Christmas. Yeah,
1, 22.
Yeah. And so, like, everybody gets there, and then I was like, do y'all want coffee? And they were like, sure. Do you have decaf? Because it's at night.
Mhm.
We're like opening the box of the coffee maker. You want to drink?
See, and so I like ran to the
Yeah.
bedroom and I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, how do I make this coffee decaf? He's like, you have to buy it.
Breathe.
Sweetheart. I was like,
Oh, you don't offer that caffeine out?
all right. I
All
don't know
right.
how this works. So I had to come out and let everyone know that I'm sorry. I did not, in fact, have decaf coffee. So that was embarrassing.
Ministry's fun. That wouldn't have
Yeah.
happened if Brianne had not had a desire to have all the shepherds in our home, which she saw in her parents and wanted to emulate in our life,
Yeah.
which also is wonderful because she understands what successful ministry looks like, church family in our home. And she's really pushed us to that. But that's where those moments happen.
Yep.
When you're engaged with people, and if you can't laugh at yourself in ministry, you're going to break.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like ministry as a couple, as a family, is just literally it's putting yourself out there
Yeah.
and hoping for the best and laughing at the worst of it, praying through the worst of it. One time, I was preaching. I was a youth minister, but I was preaching on a particular Sunday. I don't remember if it was the morning or the night. And I'm up there, doing my thing and preaching and talking and, seeing the people and looking at them. And there's this family on like the second row I'd never seen before. They kind of came in a little bit late. filed into the front because you got to get there early to get the back seats. So they came in on the second row, and I was like, "Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
new and
Excited,
the
yeah.
kids is great." And they have a couple kids. The baby was losing its mind. I mean, absolute tantrum. And that literally doesn't bother me.
Mhm.
But I thought they need a little encouragement. So I paused in my sermon and said, church, isn't it great just to have noise in worship, crying babies, the shuffling of toys and bags in a pew? Because if that wasn't there, you wouldn't have any kids.
Right.
And so it's
In
like, man,
church.
we're just
Mhm.
proud of all you young families out there taking care of those kids. Wanted to be
Yeah.
encouragement.
Yeah.
Like, good job, Austin. I turn back, looking at the people. That family stands up, leaves the building. And I'm like, I remember looking at it like an adopted grandmother. I was like, she's like, just keep going. I was like,
How
okay,
can you?
all right. And after I
That's
preach
tough.
half the invitation and go like bawl my eyes out in the
Yeah.
room in the church building. And
Oh no.
I eventually figure out who that family is, and I call them and apologize. And they're like, Austin, we had no idea what was happening. I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Because they're like, our baby was crying so much, we just had to get out of there. It's like, all right, well, I didn't
That's a
kill your
relief.
faith forevermore.
I thought it was so sweet.
Oh,
Well, yeah, it's like perfect timing.
yeah, there was.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough. Well, that's a good thing that you called, to make sure
Yeah.
and to check on them because you took the extra step. You went the extra mile to
Yeah.
make sure that they were okay.
And not destroy their faith for all
not destroy
eternity.
their faith.
That's not what your
That's-
preaching should
that's
do.
Not what your preaching should do.
Oh,
Good job, Austin. Okay, so what's a personality difference between you two that actually helps to make your ministry stronger?
So I am a planner. Austin is a dreamer. I do not dream up things, and he does not plan things.
that's true. That's true.
So
My plans are dreams that I try and turn into reality.
That's
So I think that definitely we help each other
Yeah.
in that way. Austin is so talented. Like
It's okay. You just get straight to it.
No, I'm just saying, like, I can say, hey, I've got this idea,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
why don't you like put on this costume and sing this song, or like why don't you get up and say this about
Yeah.
this, or can you announce this in this way, or whatever.
Well, like VBS.
Yeah.
When we were leading a VBS, she would plan the whole thing, schedule the whole thing, which I could never do. It's not that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
It's not your talent.
No, I couldn't even process how a schedule of moving pieces works together. And she's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mhm.
That's it.
Our
And then
brains
she'll,
think so differently.
yeah, she'd
Yeah.
just tell me the theme, tell me the night, stand up, say these things in the way you're going to say it. And she made me look great. I mean, she literally brought me to the moment. Here's the time. Here's the things. Here are the things you need to say. Go.
That's
And
fantastic.
but she's also okay with being behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Then he's the ultimate hype man.
Yeah.
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 When you're not smart, you got to be excited.
I mean, when you can grow an afro, you've got to be a hype man.
Yeah, yes. So she's definitely the planner, and she puts all those pieces together for us. Otherwise, it just wouldn't happen. And truthfully, she is the pusher of things that we need to be doing in the future. So I'm very much in the moment
Yeah.
and engaging in that moment. And she's constantly thinking, what's the next thing that we need to be doing, should be doing, want to be doing? And she takes care of, here are the needs of our life. Let's plan those out so we can get to the wants of our life. I think that's
Yeah.
huge for married couples,
Absolutely.
especially young married couples. Take care of what you need to be doing so you can do what you want to do. And that's where she steps in and really helps out our family.
And sometimes even just like reminding you, have you checked in with this person? Like they had this done or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Because like he can speak to that person and pray for that person and touch their lives in ways that like I don't have the words to do or whatever. Like he's so talented in that way. But I feel like I can kind of do my part in like helping him think about that or whatever.
And when you're young, and I know we're still kind of young, but that afro ain't growing back anytime soon. I mean, when you're young and married and in ministry, you feel like you know everything
Mm-hmm.
and you know what's going on, what needs to happen. And so it could feel like your wife is almost being your mom in your ministry. And if I could go back and talk to young Austin, I would be like, get off your high horse. She is trying so hard to enhance your ability to help and change people's lives, to comfort people in life. Instead of, you kind of get this like, I know what to do. I know who to talk to. Well, no, you don't. Your mind is
Can't see
swarming
it
with
all. Yeah.
other things. You can't see it. That's right. It's
Yeah.
not that you're stupid.
No.
It's that you're swarmed. And so she becomes like a guiding light. She becomes vision in places that you might be blind. And so I would tell myself, like, rip away your pride. She's a helper. And she's trying to help you out, and listen to that. She's wonderful at those things.
That's big. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's nice to have, like you're saying, that communication is so important. So when you've got that great communication, and then you can see each other's strengths and weaknesses and each other's talents and abilities, and to be able to encourage those with each other, but also recognize that sometimes her talent is going to help you to be a better version of you, and vice versa. And being able to acknowledge that and work together makes a huge difference in ministry. But it does take a while, because you are young. Typically, when you start off and you think you know everything, you're invincible. Nothing's going to happen to you. You know it all. You've got the right ministry. Like I said, you know who to talk to, what you should be doing, but not always. And even as an adult, older adults, like, you still got to communicate. You still got to work together, listen to each other, because it makes a big difference when you can build each other up in each other's, and realize that you're not going to be perfect at everything, and some things are going to fall through, and that's okay. It's okay. Okay, so what are some traditions that you do as a couple that keeps your bond strong?
Definitely hiking, walking. We've already talked about that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we try and do like the lectureships at Free together every year. Go to polishing the pulpit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really like a ritual as much as it's like a lifestyle that we're just together.
Yeah.
And together on mission in everything that we're trying to do, I feel like.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, we don't have like daily routines that we would say, put this into practice.
Yeah.
But more of what Brianne mentioned earlier, on mission, together, pointed in a direction. And those are our happier times, I would say. Those are really encouraging times for us when she and I, or all of us and the kids, get away to a space like PTP and Freed. She said this before, and I think it's really, really true. When people think about me, I also want them to think about Brianne. And she has mentioned when people think about her, she wants them to think about me. I don't know. I kind of want us to get lost in each other.
Yeah.
We have our own individual identities, but I'm better when I'm with her, and I hope she's better when I'm with her. And so we don't have a ritual; it's a relationship, but that's what we want.
Yeah.
And she's really good at that.
That's so beautifully said. That was so good. But it's so true, and you can see that. And I think no matter if you are in full-time ministry or not, I think it's so important to be on that same page with each other, to have those same goals. Yeah. And ideally, it would be great to have the same goal to get to heaven. And that makes a huge difference, because I've seen in so many marriages over the years with us being in ministry that when you are focused more on money, or to sum it up, like worldly things, it's so hard, because you change. Your wants, your desires, your goals in life, those things, the worldly things, will change. But God will always be consistent. And the Bible is always consistent. And how we're supposed to be is always consistent. And so if you can have that, keep that focus of that one consistent thing in your life as a couple, because everything else is going to come and go.
Yeah.
Everything else is going to, bring forward in the spotlight and back away. And to have God and get into heaven, no matter what you're doing, where you are in life, I think is so important to have and to have that goal.
Yeah, we didn't get married to live separate lives.
Yeah.
We got married to live one life together. Not everybody has the opportunity or is willing to make the sacrifice, however you want to say that, in ministry or in marriage.
Yeah.
For the husband to work and the wife to stay at home, or the husband to work and the wife to have a job that's flexible enough to make sure you stay together and maintain that close proximity, that intimacy of relationship. Not everybody's able to do that. We want to do that, and we want to make the sacrifices necessary to do that. But even if you can't, what do you want the trajectory of your life and your marriage to be?
Yeah.
Different paths or the same path? Now, you can have different jobs and go down the same path.
Yeah.
What are you going to devote your heart to, devote your mind to?
Yeah.
Devote your resources to? And for us, we want to devote those things to the same path.
Yeah, together.
I think that makes a difference, especially if you have children involved too, because then they see that no matter what you do in life, when you come home, you're all uniting. You're all going to be on the same page, and you can all be on the same page somewhat spiritually and all have that same goal as a family and be supportive towards each other in that, no matter where you are in your walk. And I just feel like that's just so important with today, is that it's so easy to get focused on self and not think about your spouse or other people, and to think about what's going to gratify you.
Yeah. Jesus literally said, if anyone would save his life, lose it.
Yep.
Those are the words. And that's just following Jesus. Then you add into that, you're going to covenant with another human being where two become one flesh. It's almost like if you choose to be in ministry, if you choose to follow Jesus and you choose to be married, you're doubly sacrificing your life.
Yeah.
So don't get into marriage following Jesus, expecting that your life will be the preeminent, prominent thing. No, you've doubly chosen to sacrifice. So lose yourself in Jesus, lose yourself in your spouse, and watch how you'll have satisfaction like never before.
Absolutely. I thought that's key. That is key. Because I think if you can do that, even in those hard, difficult times and in your down times, your struggling times, if you can remember that and get back to that focus, it does. It's almost like a weight gets lifted off of you every time. And there's something special. There's something special about, because we're all so different. We all have different talents. We all have different wants and desires. But when you can have that common goal, that common thing together, it brings you so close like nothing before. A feeling that you just cannot describe to somebody. It's rare these days, it seems like, but it's so magical. It's so nice. Okay, what's the best piece of biblical marriage advice you've ever received?
I would say love your spouse the way they want to be loved, not the way you want to be loved. So
That's
good.
Austin has different ways that he wants to be loved than I do. You're thinking about like the 5 love languages or something like that, like
Kiss me, cook me a meal, and tell me that I'm beautiful.
his are different than mine. And so I think for several years of our marriage, and I'm still not perfect at it by any means, but like I kept trying to love him how I would have chosen to be loved.
Yeah.
And that's just not fulfilling what he's wanting.
Yeah.
And I think that's just something that I've had to really take a step back and evaluate and see. And bless his heart, he's tried to encourage me so often, like this is what builds me up. I'm like, oh, I forgot again. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to love you the way I want to be loved. And so he's very patient with those reminders to me, like, this is still like what's going to help me out the most. And I'm like, yes, forgive me for not doing better at that. So,
But in every young person in marriage, you've only ever you've never given yourself to another person in
Right.
marriage. And so that really is the only way you know how to love, is how you would want to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what marriage is. It's patiently waiting on yourself to learn and your spouse to learn how to love the other person as they want and need to be loved. So
And
of
I think
course
the
you'll be
longer
patient.
you're together,
Yeah.
the more you learn your spouse.
Yeah, which is huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it becomes more natural.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And at the beginning it's challenging. It's so hard when you think you're gonna just move in together and everything's just gonna be great. And then you're like, wow, I just didn't know these things about
Yeah.
you. That you thought you knew everything in the whole world there was to know about your spouse. And then
Yeah.
you're like, what? Like, how did I not know this
Right.
before right now? You know?
Yeah.
You spend your whole life like getting to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the fun part about marriage
Yep.
too.
And that's why it's so important to keep that communication open and spending time together and making those moments away from everything and getting away and reconnecting, because life is ever changing. We're growing and developing and maturing, and you want to stay together, growing, developing, maturing together and helping each other out. And so,
But this is where love has a two-edged sword.
yeah.
Many spouses will hesitate to say, I don't know if I feel love for you in a way I need.
Mm.
Because what's that going to feel like to the other person at first?
Mm-hmm.
Like a dagger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to hurt.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to have some maturity and trust that they're going to receive that.
Yeah.
And it may not feel good in the moment, but long term, it's going to be what's beneficial. And when you're young, you want to make sure things just stay good. It's like keeping a balloon in the air. Like, we'll just do everything to keep that balloon in the
Yeah.
air, no matter, sacrifice it all.
Don't talk about anything bad.
Right.
Yeah. No
But
conflicts.
maturity and time spent together learning one another, you build trust and faith in that other person will allow you to have the hard conversation, communication. And if you can say, I perceive that from you, I'm not getting these things, and these are my needs that
Yeah.
only you uniquely can provide.
Yeah.
That's hard though,
It is.
but it helps the marriage to become holy and
Absolutely.
fully satisfied.
And tone. Like, be able to say how you feel. Do it in the right time with the right tone.
Oh,
as
yeah.
well, because tone is so much.
How you say
How you say
what
it.
you say.
Mm-hmm. Makes a big
So
difference.
important.
Yeah. So when you're doing it out of love and saying those things out of love, coming from a place within of, this is what I need from you. This is what I want from you. It makes a huge difference opposed to just saying, well, you don't love me the way I want, and you don't, fill in the blank kind of thing.
And in a ministry context, our lives, I would hope, are about giving and sacrificing
Yeah.
for others.
Yeah.
And so it almost becomes even more important that we are on the same page at providing what each other needs. Because when your love bank is empty as a married couple in ministry, the temptation could be to step out and find a space or a person that fills that bank.
Yep.
And so that's where you talked about Satan creeping
Mhm.
in, and that's where Satan could creep in. So
Mhm.
having that hard conversation doesn't just help your relationship. It goes back to what you said earlier. You could even guard or protect your relationship from the schemes of the devil.
Yep.
So have that hard conversation. God will protect you because of it.
Yeah. And having humility as like receiving,
Oh, yeah.
not necessarily even criticism, but sometimes if your spouse is opening up to you to like share something, and you might not want to like hear that advice.
Yeah.
It's hard, but I think maturity is listening to your spouse and hearing them out, and not like you can shut that door off.
Yeah.
anytime. Like,
Mhm.
nope, I don't need that advice. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good at that. And also just understanding how you communicate differently. Like Austin, if you can't tell, he is the talker of the relationship.
What?
If we're like hashing it out, he'll like spill his heart to me, and then I'm just kind of like,
frozen, can't say anything. Yeah.
It takes me longer to process it
Yeah.
all. And he's like, "What do you think?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
he's like, he wants to like talk it all out.
Like, give
in
me a
that
minute. Yeah.
moment. And I'm like, I just don't work that way.
Yeah.
You know, like I hear you. I just need some time to think about it. You know, but you can still respond in like a polite way, like, "Okay, thank you for sharing that with me." You know, and
Yeah.
it's not that we're not going to get back to it, but I just need a little bit longer to like hear it, process it, think about it, and then we can talk about it later. And he's very understanding with that because he would rather hash it out like just right there on the spot, but like my brain just doesn't work.
Can't do that. Yeah.
I think through talking. She thinks through thinking
Yes.
silently. But she affirms you affirm the relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Affirm that it's going to be okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which creates the freedom of space so she can go and think about it. And this is where marriage and ministry parallel and help each other. How are you able to have a hard conversation with your shepherds if you can't have a hard conversation with your spouse?
Yep.
And if you're able to humbly receive, I'm not going to say criticism, but hard stuff where you lack and where you're falling short with your spouse, how much greater of a wall will you build towards people you don't live with, you haven't covenanted with in marriage?
Yeah.
So this is where your marriage becomes a huge benefit and gives you practice on how to do that with shepherds, with people of the church, deacons, with co-workers, etc.
Absolutely. So how do y'all handle criticisms? Because in ministry, they're going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're not going to make everybody perfect. I mean, make everybody happy. You're not going to be perfect for everybody.
She
So
handled
how do
it.
y'all handle?
She's handled it better through our years because she's able to sit back and listen better. I'm a reactor with my words, but she's an internalizer. So I would even say you just handled it better.
Well, I think it's harder when someone's criticizing your spouse. Like I
Absolutely.
would rather someone criticize me all day long than criticize him because I can see like his heart. Like I know him better than anyone else. Like I can see the behind the scenes, like how much he loves the people, how much he's praying for them, how much time he's spending and just like his love for God and his love for them. And then when you hear someone criticize something about him, you know, like, man. And I feel like it used to upset me even more than it does now. Because now you live with this perspective of like, we are all living here on earth with our goal of getting to heaven. And I want whoever just criticized my husband to be in heaven with me too. And so it's like if I look at them as a soul who has just been misguided about my husband, then it's different from just being like defensive and like an earthly relationship.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's how I try to frame it now. You know, like if I hear of someone who said something and then like I'm worshiping with them on Sunday, it's no longer like, you know, I don't like that person or whatever, but it's like, I'm so excited to be in heaven with that person. And I hope that they can think more highly of my husband. But if not, then you know what? I know that I've got a clear conscience before God.
That's
He's
big.
got a clear conscience before God.
Unless I don't in the moment, in which case react and respond to it.
Right. But a lot of times those criticisms that you hear, you know.
Yeah.
But there are times when we have received criticism and it was for sure warranted.
Very right.
And so you have to.
And didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was deserved, but didn't like it.
Right. And so you still, I feel like with any criticism, even like with the advice from your spouse, a lot of times you don't like it or you don't want to hear it. But I feel like whatever it is that says, it deserves for you to hear it and to think about it.
Yeah.
And to say, is this true? And it might not be true. And then you can dismiss it and not worry about it anymore and know that your conscience is clear before God. But a lot of times that there is wisdom in what is being said. And it does take that humility that maybe we did not possess as 21-year-olds.
It happened.
But hopefully, we were talking about some advice or criticism. This was not advice. It was criticism that he received in youth ministry one time that was like very painful. And we were like, what in the world? Like, what is this? What is this about?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now 15 years later, like we can look back and be like, oh, like they
Love
were
it.
trying to help us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just couldn't see it in the
Yep.
moment. And so I think as like you grow older, we've talked about how when we got married, we thought we knew everything. And the older you get, you're like, I don't know anything. But it does make you more open to hearing other people's advice for your life and then thinking maybe there is some kind of wisdom in this for me.
Yeah. And I think too, when people have those criticisms, is to realize that they're coming from a different perspective, that
Yeah.
they've either got something else going on in their life, that they're just, this is their one thing they feel like they have some control over, or they've different perspective, like they just have a different understanding, maybe even a misinformation.
Yeah.
And
Whether or not it's true, it's
Yeah.
their reality.
yes.
And
Yeah.
in ministry, in any situation, any setting, whoever you are, whatever job you do,
Mm-hmm.
it is still that person's reality,
Right.
whether or not it's true. And so you've almost got to process that separately.
Yes.
Process your emotions separately from the words.
Yes.
Process what is true separate from what is their reality, and love people enough and be courageous enough to have the hard conversation and say, this may be true to you. Here's how I see it.
Yeah.
Or that thing that just happened. Here's how I perceive that it went. Can we talk about it?
I feel like
Absolutely.
Austin's good at when he receives criticism, he tries to build a deeper relationship with that person instead of like
Mhm.
trying to avoid that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's something that's admirable about him. Like he doesn't just say, well, you criticize me, so I'm not talking to you ever again. Like
Yeah.
he goes the opposite direction with it.
It's easy to build enemies. It's hard to build bridges. But
Yes.
bridges is what will keep people connected on the path to heaven. And in a ministry context, if you're in ministry, what do you want? Do you want walls where people can't access?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want bridges that people can come be closer to God in your family?
Yeah. And I think that does, especially in ministry, it makes it easier when you are willing to be open and have that communication, that dialogue, to be able to go to where they are with their walk and hear their perspective
Yeah.
and try to get them to understand a different way of thinking or a different perspective. But it's so important because not everybody's like that, because there are some people who do, they run from that. They don't want like confrontation. And I think there's a time and a place for all that. I think there's a time and a place where we need to be comfortable and get comfortable with going to those people that maybe we have offended or maybe we've upset, and to go to them and like say, with a humble heart and be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
How can we help? How can I make this better? How can we fix this? And hear them out. But not everybody is like that. So like, I'm the same way, Austin. Like I want to go and like, oh, you're upset with me. I did something wrong. Let's fix it right now. Like I don't want we did an episode a couple weeks ago and it's like, I'm very much a people pleaser. Like I want to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody unhappy. If I can help it, I'm going to make them happy. And so in ministry, you're going to make people not happy. That's just part of it. And so when you have those criticisms, I'm so quick to be like, okay. And Caleb's like, just pray about it, slow it down just a little bit, then maybe go talk to him.
Mhm.
But I'm like, no, let's do this right now. Let's go, let's get this taken care of right now. But yeah, but it goes back to communication, having that communication and that heart and wanting things to be better
Mhm.
and fixed and not hold the grudges and not run away from the conflict. Because it opens that up. Like you said, it builds that bridge to where then later on in life, they're going to see when they have another problem that they're going to be able to come and talk to you. They're going to be able to come because you have that sympathetic heart. You have that open mind. You have that desire to want to please God. And
Criticism may become the great testing ground
yeah.
of your conscience before God and your ability to self-reflect.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the type of person that says, no, I can just handle the animosity,
Mm-hmm.
and you just move forward okay with the fact that you're at odds with people, that you are at odds with people,
Mm-hmm.
what does that say about you?
Yeah.
Because you said you're a people pleaser. I'm a people pleaser.
Mhm.
And I don't handle well when people are upset with me.
Yeah.
So that's going to move us quickly to try and restore that relationship.
Yeah.
Well, then other people who have a different makeup. What if they say, well, I can just live with it and it won't even bother me?
Mm.
Well, reflect.
Yeah.
Does it not bother you because they're wrong, or does it not bother you because you really don't love people?
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a real issue. So
Yeah.
if you can reflect properly and understand who you are, it may actually cause you, God could work through that to
Mhm.
soften your heart and maybe even stretch you beyond your comfort zone. So I like that criticism even could be a testing ground for those things.
Absolutely. Totally agree. What does spiritual leadership look like in y'all's home?
Well, Austin is a wonderful example of practicing what he preaches.
Hmm.
Our kids adore him. The boys both write right now, which it could change like tomorrow, but every first day of school, what do you want to be when you grow up? They both want to be a preacher.
Aw.
They want to be like their dad. Even Saley, bless her heart, she sometimes says, when I grow up to be a daddy. And I'm
She
like,
does.
it's not gonna work like that.
No, sweetheart, but deep down, I'm like, that's so sweet.
She could be a ladies' day speaker.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we can, yeah.
But so spiritual leadership, it looks like it just is the same from the pulpit all the way to the house.
Mhm.
It's like this genuine
Mm-hmm.
connection from him being preacher to him being dad to him being husband. And
And her being preacher's wife
yeah,
in the church, amongst the people, in the lives of people, and at her home. Genuine, authentic connection. Oh, that's great.
yeah. So he has always been the leader, and I want him to be the leader, and I hope I do.
She was patient with me when I wasn't. I was young and immature and prideful, and she loved me through it.
But I still always felt like you were the leader,
Yeah.
even in those moments.
I didn't deserve it, but I was.
But yeah, so I feel like God is always at the forefront of our life, whether we're I love that he does this on Sunday mornings. If you have kids and you're trying to get ready for
You know.
Sunday morning,
Yep, I
You
know.
know.
you know, what
Yes.
it's like.
No, you know.
And you're like, get out the door.
Yes, right.
What are you doing standing in the corner looking at the wall? You got to leave.
Sometimes you like
Get your shoes on. Yeah.
and I'm just like sweating and
Yeah.
frustrated and looking back, and one kid doesn't have his shoes on or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then Austin's like, let's pray, And I'm like, all right, that's and I just love that he does that because I need it. And he like prays for our hearts, and he prays
Yeah.
It's true.
like centers us back. I'm like, what we're actually doing.
It's that quiet moment.
Yeah.
It brings it down.
He
Yeah.
does. He really does. So that's just like one small example. I could go on and on about.
Yeah.
But do you have a tone like a sarcastic tone sometimes then when you start praying? Or do you really?
Oh no, it's not sarcastic. It is very real, like in a good way.
It's as a preacher and a parent, preacher's wife and a parent. You're tempted to think Sunday's the big show, Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hurry up, look the part, be the part, and make it happen.
Yeah.
Man, that is not what we need to be doing. But you fall into that human nature. And so the reality is it's a track meet to get to the vehicle on time, to get everybody situated on time. And you miss the pursuit of what is holy because of what's necessary. So creating a moment to, I can't remember the word you said or the phrase you said, to refocus or to recenter, I think something like that, to ground yourselves again in what you're doing, which is you're ascending to a holy place where God is. That's it. So that's big for us.
Yeah, and I feel like he's good at keeping our family's focus on what is most important, because I don't know if it's like my personality or if it's like mom mode or whatever. I'm just always trying to get all the little things, like I get this done and this done and this kid needs this and this kid needs this, and
Yeah.
sometimes he's the one who has to like come in and be like, what are we really doing right now?
Yeah.
Like, where's our family directing ourselves?
But it's not that my job's more important, because if you weren't here, none of the kids would have what they need.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have what I need. So like,
Yeah.
don't minimize that either.
Right.
It takes both. And I think it's easy sometimes when you get in a
Mhm.
bad place relationally to pit one against the other.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
we're just always nitpicking about all the details about
Mhm.
these little things. Well, you never think about the little things.
That's right.
Well, I'm so holy, I think about prayer all the time.
That's right.
Well,
Yeah.
whoa, hold on.
Absolutely.
We're not enemies.
Absolutely.
It takes both of you. And so
Mhm.
don't minimize that, but don't get lost in it either. And that's the fine balance.
Yeah. But I guess just to sum up, like, what does spiritual leadership look like in our home? He's just always helping guide us to the big picture. Like, what is the main point of all of this? And that's following God and getting to heaven. So he's good at directing our family in that way.
And I can direct our family that way because she's handling the other things that she's called to do.
Balance each other out.
Yeah.
So how do you involve your children in y'all's ministry?
Well, before they started school, I feel like they really did everything with us. I mean, they were making visits and
If we go, they go.
yeah. Now that they're in school, it's a little bit different, but we still do try to check him out, take him on trips if he's speaking somewhere or going to those lectureship type things. We just feel like it's important for them to be saturated in those things.
Yeah.
Like school's important, but we're totally cool with just checking them out and going to do those things with us. But I feel like they feel like it's just a lifestyle too. They don't know any different
Yeah.
at this
Right.
point. So like the church family is their family. Saley wanted to, I feel like I've had so many Saley stories today,
She's at
but
that age.
she just turned 3. We asked what she wanted to do for her birthday,
Oh.
and she wanted to have a pink and purple birthday. Who do you want to invite? The whole church family.
The whole church
You
family.
would just do this.
Aw.
Oh,
That's why, yeah.
Pastor, the whole church
So
family.
sweet. So cute.
And, because she, at that young of an age, she's like, well, they're all my family.
Right.
Like, she
Yeah.
feels that within her
Mm-hmm.
already. And so I guess that means something good. I guess she
It does. Yeah.
connects them as being a part
A
of.
positive part. Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So don't use your children for ministry, but immerse your family in the family life of the church. And so you don't use. That could really create some bad thoughts towards ministry and towards following Jesus in a community of people.
Yeah.
And so authentically immersing your family in the communal life of God's family is what it's about. And it goes back to authenticity.
It does.
Are you really in this because you're following Jesus and you're using your gifts? Or are you in it because it's a job? And self-reflect on that.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Because it makes a difference when you are being authentic, because the kids see through that. They know.
Oh yeah.
They
know.
see the hypocrisy.
They know.
They see. They know. They don't have to say anything. You don't have to say anything. Like, they see it. And so when you're being transparent like that and authentic, and you're having your kids with you and you're the same on the pulpit as you are at home, makes a huge impact, not only to your children, but to the people around you as well.
Yeah, and stay the course.
Yeah.
It's not easy for everybody, and everybody has different set of circumstances and different types of kids.
Oh,
They're at different places in
absolutely.
their relationship. So it's not always easy, but the pursuit is always holy.
Mhm.
And to instill in your children and the core DNA of your family that we are committing ourselves to something greater than ourselves. It won't just bring success in the family. It'll bring success in life, in the church. That mentality, I believe, breeds holiness.
I agree. And I think, too, teaching them how, even if you don't choose ministry as your full time, like Sadie, she's not going to be able to be a preacher, but she can do ladies' days, and she can speak, and she can do amazing, great things for women.
Oh, yeah.
And that, teaching them that they all have different talents and how to use those for God. And so, like, we have older boys now that are out of the home and kind of out of the home and are out doing other things besides ministry. They're in the Army. And one of them baptized 7 people in the Army.
Good grief.
And so like teaching your children that you don't have to be a minister, but we need ministers. We need to all have a passion for ministry in some form and teach God.
Whether
And
you're paid or not.
whether you're paid or not, because it's all about getting to heaven and get as many people with you to heaven. And so teaching them their talents and their abilities in the different ways is so important as well. Okay, so it's time, y'all. Gonna wrap this thing up. I've really enjoyed having y'all on and getting to know y'all better and sharing y'all's ministry and your family stories. And y'all are doing a great job, and keep it up.
Thank you.
Keep encouraging each other. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing fantastic.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. All right, ladies. I just want to remind you, thanks again for tuning in. And I hope this has been, gives you a little bit of hope, some encouragement,
Mhm.
and hopefully you can be able to reflect on your walk with God.